Should I just go for it? Just go for it? Just go for it! Marvel vs. Capcom. The truth about truth, and just seeing if I could let it out, unravel it, unfold it, burst it out, and just to release it, release the inner krakens. And when you release those inner krakens, where are those krakens going? Take a breath, and just, honing in on the word timelessness, as if that is all that we really are. And ironically, on a great majority of ourselves, that is what we are. And ironically, that word in itself is respectively one of the top words to solve every problem, kind of, because it's we're stuck in time, and time is contaminated within this playing field. So when I say the truth about truth, it's seeing what's in effect on just a general cosmic fluid level, and seeing what's in effect on a general, material, systematic level. And everybody's psychology and how they were, formulated and designed from their, forthcomings of material upbringings and cosmic upbringings, whatever, because we are a product of the stars, etc. But seeing just defining consciousness and defining, truth and clarity, specifically in simplicity, because I say what is in effect. There are things in effect, and there are things that block the effects, very, very basically. And it's happiness is kind of, not necessarily happiness, but I feel happiness is clarity, or just clarity is one of the ultimate navigation tools and security tools, because we know where we're going and we feel assured in where we're going. So clarity at large is should be respectively the best puzzle, and just really what are we trying to be clear on, on how we're counteracting all the fears. How are we doing that? What are the stagnancies at general base at large? And stagnancy isn't necessarily just fear, because fear kind of dances with uncertainty. So, and uncertainty is its own, process of you not knowing where you're going. And so I'm left-handed, so that's why I always have the camera right here. I'm in the meadow right now. So the truth about truth is, dissecting time, and dissecting, our timeless aspects within the time fields, and dissecting what is of, what is of certainty. And just really you want to talk about consciousness? How about let's hear some definitions of consciousness itself. Yes, it is awareness. That could be a function of consciousness. But consciousness, in my standard view, is just existence. An accumulation and an expansion of your existence. And all of that kind of circulates around the disconnections and the connections within that consciousness. So what connections are severed, and how collected and accumulated is your focal point of your consciousness, and how are you ultimately surrendering yourself to what, and pretty much when I'm on a flow, I just kind of flow. It's because like there's like it's kind of like incremental energies of just like faith, doubt, practicality, impracticality, and just seeing like who's like initiating that, because no matter if you're like, you're always speaking even when you're not speaking, because your actions and inactions are your communications onto what you feel on the overall bigger picture. So like when people are saying like, hey, like let's embody this, they're only embodying it so much, no matter who you are. And it's just like me appropriately pressing the BS button. I say appropriately because like I feel like this isn't necessarily going to work for me, because like in one facet I feel like you could ask the question, what came first, the observer or the projection? So with that being said, it's like there's a psychology to the intermingling of the observer and the projection, and a, you know, a formulation of how things were brought to be. So I feel like the truth of truth is asking very, very, very directly with yourself and who you are interacting with. Because look at interaction in itself is, you know, everything, because we're all like either clarifiably or unclarifiably, we're all like saying we're going to the same place, we are everything, you know. And like, let me check my back, I don't want someone to just but anyways, seeing what's in effect. And so we're going to this place, but like how are we gonna get there? With the, and I did a video, I was at Big Sur, and I was just doing this video of like just a real quick like brief capture of the last moment. Like I have some other stuff to say here too, and now it's raining all randomly too, so I'm at a meadow, but just seeing like just very, very swiftly like the authentic intentions in how they're being navigated, steered, and guided by the array of forces and energies. Because look, everything isn't necessarily energy per se, respectively. It's like, it's a conscious focal point of intention and like psychiness of just like, hey, this is like, it's like a pre-energy. And like, you know, I think happiness and passion and clarity is like, you know, appropriately or inappropriately standing up for like what you feel is right in your psyche. Because in I think the result, I feel like the result of like your life in this moment is based on, and I'll get to the truth of truth right now. Ooh, what was that? So I feel like it's based on our overall psychological layerings of what we choose to bring out right now, despite all the layers, and recognizing what layers are not necessarily of us, but they were fabrications, yet we blended those fabrications with our unique soul essence to thus make it us. And that in itself is like, see, look, this is like if someone wants to fearmonger me, like, this is infinitely being replicated. So like, this is the time to like think bigger. And like, you got this 2019 hype, I'm always pressing the now button. I'm always pressing like, hey, if that doesn't sit right with me, I'm gonna call it out, you know, for myself. And so just seeing, ooh, I was jumping around kind of, now I'm going to a beach. So seeing like just the proportions of who is like feeling it too, you know, like who is coming from a division aspect of themselves, and who is coming from a true wholeness aspect of themselves. Like, who's coming from like, at wholeness, what is wholeness? It's well-roundedness, and it's taking like, the distillation of everything. And okay, so like, and it's being clear where we're going. So division, that's dividing the vision. Undividing the vision. So like the vision is like, okay, we could play this card all day. The common denominator card is like, hey, okay, authenticity with your dreams. Where it go? It's like, oh yeah, dreams. Yeah, oh, we have this. Oh, look how they're formulating it. They're doing this to these people to do that. Like, I don't know. It's a pick and choose. And oh shit, now I'm going to the beach, and it is roaring. Roar. So it's a pick and choose because like, if everything is like raw potentiality, then not everything is necessarily fixed, and the feedback loops are not what they were, because there's like multiple new influences. And now I'm getting quiet because I'm seeing a person, so just taking a moment. Yeah, hey, greetings. So the truth of the truth. I will get to that 1 second. Hey, greetings. What kind of dog is that?
He's a mix.
Oh, a mix.
Yeah, he's got pit bull, lab, and Dutch shepherd.
Pit bull, lab, and Dutch shepherd?
Yeah.
So it took like 3 people to make that? Oh wait, or one was a hybrid. Yeah, one was a hybrid to begin with, and then
yeah,
a purebred.
I found him in Big Sur, so I'm not sure. But
you found him?
Yeah.
How did you identify him? Is there
I
like
met the mom, and she was a pit bull and husky, and they said the dad was brindle.
Okay.
And he has like the same characteristics as like a Dutch shepherd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like his ears and his tail.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See you around. Have the best life ever. Okay. So. Okay. 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 So seeing what's in effect and what's blocking the effects. So like, and it's being appropriate of like how you're disagreeing, and seeing like the maturity of like how people are gonna respond. Everybody, you know, because if you're saying you really want to you know, master overcoming fear and mastering consciousness, which is what is mastering consciousness? I mean, what isn't consciousness then? Or what is consciousness at its polished state or its most refined state then? Because look, all is self, but yet there is a not self. So is the not self a part of the all or the self? You see what you get me? Because like there's stuff that is not ourself, that we have our personal oneness to pick and choose. So that's kind of like the thing, is like picking and choosing like what practices to really incorporate. Ooh, and it smells great out here. So pretty much I don't necessarily think I'm jumping around, because okay, so so it's like wisdom is the fuel, and it's like you have a plane and you have fuel, and your attention is kind of what you're paying in one sense, or just kind of your ambition is your fuel to obtain the wisdom, and then you're going to digest it how you're going to digest it based on your own psychological processes. Oh yeah, and respectively, like the psyche, I feel like respectively we are at where we are at now because of the systems we chose to be present in, and how our psychological standpoints interact with that within all moments. And just seeing the systems that are in play, and seeing the psychological standpoints very clearly, which has already been done apparently, if you harness the validity of a bigger picture, you know, and seeing how just the dream bigger, you know, if we're gonna dream bigger, the essence of what? Of non-division is for me to put this out, for me to push my faith button, for me to like make a stand right now, put the flag and just be like, hey, faith, truth, clarity, and, you know, so shit, man. Should I walk backwards? Maybe I should walk this way. Maybe I should sit down. So, the truth of truth, real quick. The truth about truth is pretty much the times. Okay, so the integers of the truth is very simple. It's just the time spans, the time planes, and then the time distillations. These are the coordinates to have, you know, a clear passageway that establishes objective truths to all subjective truths, and seeing the passageways on why someone has this particular subjective truth. That is the truth of truth, because look at where it's like you could ask, like, someone's saying an opinion, okay, it's or fact, so they believe, and it's like, what places are they coming from on like an emotional, psychological, and quote unquote, you know, recoverable traumatic standpoint? Where are they coming from, and in what place or time are they referring to specifically? So look at, my thing is for not even 2019, forever, dude. Screw the 2019 hype. Screw the trends hype, dude. I'm always on the bigger picture hype. It's like, screw that shit. I'm doing this for eternity. And, you know, it's just, if you do DMT, you know, and you get that, like, that rush of energy and that epiphany or whatever, it's like, you have to ask yourself after that, like, what's the point of any of this, except to, like, give it all away in one sense, respectively, or like, yeah, give it all away, if like there's a part of us that doesn't really exist, and we believe in this, you know, ever polished oneness of you know, a one organism sentience that, you know, chooses to experience productivity, to experience, you know, your highest version of yourself. And shit, man. Okay. And yeah, I've done it a couple times. But I'm not saying I'm like a master at it. So that's pretty much the truth of the truth. And within, like, seeing the well-roundedness within the time planes, you know, whether there's a pole or not, and the time spans, seeing like what is of, like, you know, utmost self-fluidity and constructiveness within those time spans, and just really dissecting, like, both of those aspects to thus incorporate, like, that new energy. So it's like, we could do, like, and this is just kind of like a prelude of what is to be, like, you know, collaborated. And honestly, like, shit, man. Honestly, I'm gonna do a Christmas video tomorrow. It's probably gonna be like maybe an hour and a half, and it's gonna be a specific format. So yeah. So I gotta ask, what will you do now with this new collaboration energy that has been interexchanged? And You know, when we really let go, what are we letting go of? And like truly, like on like a full total Orionic level, like what are you letting go of? You're not letting go of your values, are you? You're not letting go of your morals, are you? You're not letting go of your, you know, your sights, you know, or your directions. Oh, and yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's like wisdom is like a fuel. So like, yeah, you could have this fuel and just like play around with it, but without the proper trajectory, you're just kind of like, you're just kind of all for show, you know? So, and yet again, it's like everybody has a chance right now, all bullshit aside, you know, to just really tap into the natural forgiveness on why we could forgive. And you know what? Who's to say how anybody, who's anybody to say how I really feel, you know? And that's the thing. No one can tell you how you feel. It's like Bruce Lee said. It's like you take what's useful for you, discard the rest. Discard the rest. So it's like, it's that simple. So you could do that like really minutely with everybody's message. And it doesn't matter how much you admire that person. You're a different psychological system. So yeah, I hope I defined consciousness. And it's just like asking like, how valid is that, or how accurate is that? Because just respectively, you know, because like standpoints is like, what are you doing? And it's like it seems like it's a constant transmutation because we are in a field of contamination. What is contaminated, you know? Well, physically, there's a lot of like physical, chemically substances dancing around, so that's a contamination. What's uncontaminating it, you know? Just the natural etheric immunity system powers we have, that's the natural counteraction. Some say like things are already in play. Oh yeah, so okay, here's my house. Yeah, so what's in effect? So I'm just gonna just asking what's already in effect. And I just really want to talk about Mercury. I think it's cool to like really like, you know, expound upon the unified mind and how that works, because look at like, there's my plane. And so the unified mind is like, we could be thinking of the same thing from across the planet and have like the same, you know, theme, but not the same formulation of how it came to us specifically, and how we're expressing it specifically, and what we're going to exactly do with it specifically, with who we're going to do with it specifically, from an unconscious to a conscious channel. So look at, I'm consciously pressing the button like, hey, New Earth Unity, risking it, you know, but just like talking about Mercury. And I think Mercury is really good to talk about. Here's my other house. So Mercury, where's Mercury in your chart? I think like, despite it all, like, yeah, we have life purpose, but aside from the life purpose, how do you function? How do you think? Specifically with the planetary energies that are at play, how are you thinking from moment to moment? So look at Mercury is the sign of logic, communication, you know, how we look at things, you know, how we solve things, how we fix things, how we work on things, the knowledge, the archives. That's what Mercury is to me. And look at, you could like see all the planets, you could stack them up and have the sun on the highest most position just for that like own diagram. And guess what planet is closest to the sun? Mercury. So Mercury has gained the intelligence to be so like left hemispherical that it's positioned itself to withstand the sun but not be of the sun. So yet and be its own, like, quote unquote artificial version of its own sun, but still not that organic sun. And maybe it is to its own degree, but that's a different thing. So like just, I think it's like really good to pencil and like ask yourself, like, because like if you get an astrology reading, just a basic astrology reading, you could see like what planets are in what signs and houses, and just like, and Mars is passion, Venus is like, I feel like Venus is like ideals in your creations, and but like so I feel like my Mercury's in Libra and Mercury is in Sagittarius right now. If I'm not mistaken, that's a sextile. So within the sextile, it creates a specific type of, you know, energy. A sextile is what, like 60 degrees? So it's like, it's 1/6. So it's like, 6 is just like a fluid creation, you know, a fluid fusion. And Mercury in Sagittarius means like, the way Sagittarius operates with Mercury is like, hey, this is how I do things. Hey, I want to travel. Hey, I want to bring my heat, you know? I want to, like, I'm a mutable fire sign, Sagittarius speaking. I want to flow with my fire, and I want to adapt to things. Let me do the way I want to do. Libra with Mercury is like, hey, I respect how you feel. I respect how you do your things. I respect, like, you know, that we could have a chance to collaborate and see eye to eye and do these bigger pictures. And I respect the idea of like, yeah, we should both do our own things. Let us both run wild. Let us both run with it. And this is Mercury. This is not the sun sign. This is just the standpoint how we think. So pretty much, I don't know, like, and if your Mercury's in a different sign, you could make your own, you could make your own deductions of what that is. And yeah, this is just another now piece, dismantling all falsehoods from all angles, from the highest effectivities. Let the highest cosmos of the natural order make it so. And just, you know, grateful for all the choices you've made. Alright, be well. And just self-love. Self-love. Much love.